Hello, good afternoon, all the panelists.
Good afternoon.
Uh,
Good
so,
afternoon. I think we need to increase the volume a bit.
Volume, yeah.
Yes.
Is it okay now?
Slightly better.
Okay, great. So, good afternoon, everyone. This is Manish Gupta, and we are hosting a webinar here for exploring the entrepreneurship opportunities in hospitality post pandemic. I would like to welcome our panelist, Mrs. Shweta Shalini, founder of Fortune Cookie Media Solutions. She is also a politician, entrepreneur, tech enthusiast, blogger, a columnist. She wears a lot of hats and has a lot of experience. Then we have Mr. Atul Rajoli, MD and CEO of Lakshya Yavad Institute of
Lakshya Ved. It's Lakshya Ved.
Lakshya Ved Institute of Leadership and Excellence. He's also an entrepreneur, leadership coach, strategist, passionate trainer, and a business consultant. We have Mr. Girish Pansare, who is a seasoned hospitality consultant. He is founder of Beyond Food Consultants. So, as per now, we have been looking at our various webinars and be attending a lot of knowledge sessions. And we know that beyond this, due to this lockdown and coronavirus, our hospitality industry is hitting very hard, and we are severely impacted because in terms of unemployment and in terms of ability of our hotels and restaurants to run. As per certain studies, as much as 30 to 40% of restaurants or hotels may not see the day of light post lockdown or post pandemic crisis. So it's a very difficult time. So our objective of hosting this webinar is to give some positive light, give you some insights, some experience sharing, how we can survive this pandemic or this lockdown in terms of both our businesses, our employment, and as well as what other extra opportunities this pandemic is posting to us. There are in every crisis there are always challenges and opportunities at the same time. So we're going to be talking about that. But first, I would ask all the panelists one by one if they can answer what is the one advice they would like to give to the existing businesses to be able to survive this storm, especially due to the pandemic. So I would like to start with Mrs. Shweta.
Okay. So ladies first.
Yes.
Great. So thank you, Manish ji. And first and foremost, thank you, HCS. It's a fantastic forum, very good platform. And especially because we are talking about hospitality, as you rightly mentioned, Manish ji, it is one of the segments together with travel and tourism, which is going to be hit very, very badly. But if you've asked me, an advice, uh, every sector is going to rebound back. The fact is, we need to have patience. It's human nature to travel. So people are going to travel. People will travel for business and for leisure. When will they start traveling? Until that time, what is the key to sustenance? And when it grows slowly, how will the permanent changes take place is something that we need to be catering to at this point of time. So I think in a nutshell, if I have to tell everybody in hospitality, please don't lose hope, because every sector, even hospitality, travel and tourism sector is definitely going to rebound back. The challenges is going to be, one, there are going to be some permanent changes, so you need to work towards those permanent changes. Second, there are going to be some temporary challenges till that time, and for that you need to have a reset policy. So there needs to be a complete change of view. So the entire mindset needs to be changed. And last but not the least, like there is always hope, there needs to be hope. that things will normalize. But this new normal is what we need to be ready for and ready with. So we should be part of this new normal. And that is the reason why we should ensure that this change happens and starts with us. So that's all I think I have from my end as one piece of advice.
Thank you, Shwetaji. It was a very good advice. I think you're right, right, that we just need to keep a hope and be able to survive and do the innovative things. As you said, there will be a lot of new normals, a lot of temporary changes and permanent changes. Now, I would like to ask Mr. Girish also his advice. He's been in the hospitality for such a long time. He has been advising the hotels and restaurants on a lot of consulting projects. So what are your views, Mr. Girish?
Yeah, I would just start with, like what I would agree to Shalini ji, what she said, ki this business as of now, it is down, the sector is down. It will take a little bit of time, to revamp. But definitely, as of now, what we need to do is, like mentally, emotionally, and physically, we need to retune ourselves, realign ourselves. The old school of functioning has to change, right from the owners to the employees. A new business plan, a new way of looking at the previous systems have to be worked out. So that's what I would add.
Okay, great. Atul ji, you are consulting a lot of businesses, not from the hospitality, but from the other industries as well. So I would like to ask you, what are your views on this?
Yeah, first of all, good afternoon, everybody. And it is really a pleasure that I'm being a part of this panel. And I work with a lot of businesses. And because of this COVID thing, what has happened is the entire world has pressed its pause button, I would say. But though the world has pressed its pause button, but after this outbreak is over, we are going to fast forward our businesses. It's not like only COVID is making the changes in all our businesses. If you see last 10 years, the way we used to operate 10 years back, it was slowly and gradually it was coming to us. We were starting already to change our businesses in terms of our digitization, in terms of overall the way we operate our business models. And this COVID thing, what has happened is we have forcefully we have to introspect about our business model now. And the person or the organizations who are very fast to adopt new technology and who are very flexible to adopt new business models are going to survive and thrive in this turbulent era, I would say. So this is the time we have to introspect, and this is the time the changes which were supposed to happen after 10 years, maybe these changes are going to happen in next 6 months or they have already started, if you see. So we have to be very flexible, we have to be very fast, and we have to adopt new technology and business models as soon as possible. That is my first advice to all the entrepreneurs and professionals of hospitality industry.
Bang on, Atulji, you are absolutely right. It's a time for introspection. Look at what are your existing business models and what else you can do. For employees, probably it will also be introspection to see what skills they are having and what are the new skills they can learn during this lockdown time, during this pessimistic time. So instead of getting pessimistic and thinking and crying about the future, probably we should introspect and see what other skills we can explore. There are a lot of teaching opportunities, lectures are ongoing with the peoples. I would like to ask our panelists one more thing to get for the benefit of our audiences. What are the new emerging opportunities do you really see in the hospitality space that will be coming up? I mean, yes, we cannot see the certain expectations. So I would like to start with Shalini ji. What are the new things that they would see coming in hospitality space?
So I have been telling this to students of all the fields that there was a time in India when everyone was learning English, and perhaps that's one of the reasons why sectors like hospitality prefer the hardworking Indians, because they had an added advantage of English language. Now, please understand that coding is the new English. So one no sector is going to go away from technology. In fact, technology is going to be the backbone of every sector. So most of the emerging tech is emerging sectors in any sector are going to be related to technology. So my advice to students who are studying hospitality right now, people who are looking at opportunities within the hospitality sector right now, is look at various technology options. Now, what does that mean? It means that artificial intelligence is going to come into technology. So that means that one of the things that COVID has done is primarily ensured that there is going to be social distancing between people, which means you will never be able to get a set of people together, say, for example, in a lobby. So effortless, without interaction, artificially intelligence enabled digital check-ins is something which is going to be really in. If there is going to be a key which is given to you on your phone, which will arrive with your code when you purchase the room, and that will be enabling your room door. Something like this is definitely going to be in. So anybody with the knowledge of technology is going to be thriving in this sector. Robots are going to be used, whether it be serving or automating a lot of processes, back end, front end, definitely going to be used. Second, and the very, very important sector is going to be healthcare. I think the time which we are going to see, which is the post-COVID times, are going to be times when multi-sectoral, channelizing is going to happen, which means pretty much couple of sectors are going to come together and form a new kind of an opportunity, which is what we are going to call as new normal. So which means that sanitized spaces is something that is definitely going to be new normal. Now, what is sanitized space? How do you define it? And that is what is going to become the new USP of hospitality industry. So my simple advice to students who are studying right now and probably are sitting at home is that they should do certain online courses, or they should upskill themselves with a lot of knowledge around sanitation, hygiene, how to manage a new kind of a hygiene and sanitation in environments. What kind of sanitation is required if you want to sanitize a space of different levels. Yes. Right? We have been sanitizing rooms in hospitality. Mm-hmm. But if you want to sanitize a table, and how far should one table be from the other table? What is the social distancing of a table? Buffets are definitely going to be out of style. So if it is not buffet, then what? These are things which need to be thought of. These are things which new generation people need to think of, and these are opportunities. These are underlying opportunities which people are not seeing. And one of the last things which I feel is nutrition, because people want to be healthy, people want to eat good food, nutritious food, and I think there is no other sector other than hospitality which can ensure that nutritious, sanitized food is available to you while you are away from your own home. So how to enrich nutrition and nutrition value of the food? What is it that will increase your immunity? If you've traveled from a certain part of the country, globe, what kind of food would you like to eat and would suit you? Yeah. And perhaps if there is a certain kind of a weather, what kind of allergic foods you should not eat and should avoid are things that are going to be really, really in. So my simple advice is that everybody related to the hospitality sector should start gaining a lot of knowledge around these three simple segments and sectors to add on online certifications. Of course, when I'm going to talk to students, I'm going to tell you various resources online which are free and available for you to gain knowledge.
Yeah, excellent. Thank you very much for a concise summary. So to summarize, probably the hospitality staff should upskill themselves in technology, using the technology, and probably developing the technology. So that both are the choices. They should be skilled in sanitation, hygiene. Everybody should be able to keep their areas clean, because now we are going to have multitasking. People would be needed to sanitize their areas, and they may also want to learn the allergens, because people will have a lot of allergies, and health-based, nutrition-based. Because if you are in a service, you can actually explain it to the guest. If you are able to explain to the guest, you can talk about these things. So these will help in the hospitality career to provide the personalized services, because when we are in hospitality, we may have to maintain the social distance, but these factors may help the students or the staff to maintain a better relationship with the people. So others extra, so I would like to ask now, Mr. Future opportunities that you think in hospitality space. Girishji.
Yeah, voice just went off.
Yeah.
Voice just went off. Could you
So
just
I would
come
like
again?
to ask Girishji, what are your views on the future emerging opportunities in hospitality space, or for hospitality staff and students in future?
According to me, the opportunities as of now, like those would be more prominent into 2-tier and 3-tier cities, because as we have been observing, the majority of this COVID effect has been done on, like, major cities, the
Major cities.
metros.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so people would not necessarily like to travel for leisure. Travel is of two types,
Mhm.
leisure or business. So leisure so definitely is out for at least a year's time.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
alternatively, in the 2-tier or 3-tier cities, people are like, we can look at something like medical tourism,
Mm.
or health and wellness tourism. So you can create new opportunities, local
Mm.
sightseeing,
Mm.
something of that sort,
Yeah,
trails or something.
yeah, yeah. You're right.
Those would be good opportunities for the two
Uh,
tier and 3-tier cities.
yeah, exactly. So means that people may not need to migrate to the major cities. They can create
To
certain
major cities,
things within the
exactly.
local cities and the 2-tier cities and 3-tier cities to create a local experience.
Yes, a classic example is something like in Jaisalmer, like we've
Mm.
been there 2 or 3 years back. So there is a group, who is giving thorough information about every fort and the historic event
Mm.
related to that.
Mm.
So that's not on the global map. Once you reach there, hardly a few people come to know about it.
Okay.
Something
So
of
Atul,
those.
yeah, Atulji, what are your views on emerging opportunities?
Yeah, frankly speaking, it's very difficult to predict how the world is going to be. Nobody is going to predict. We are not astrologers here. We can, guess, and we can just have some assumptions, okay, how the world is going to change. But what I believe always is the basic things which are at the core of any business or any
Mm.
profession,
Mm.
those won't change. If you focus on the key need, which is catered by your business, and if you stick to that particular need by reducing the risk factors, the risk factor of the social distancing, or avoiding and minimizing the risk of how this COVID thing can spread across. So I think that is very important. And for that, every professional, not only hospitality industry, every profession, every business, every person has to be more creative. And to be more creative, rather than focusing on our uh, um, products and services, we have to see outside. I think Mr. Girish has perfectly said that. He talked about 2-tier or 3-tier
Mm.
cities.
Mm.
Similarly, if you see outside, the basic need of food is not going to change,
Yeah.
which is catered by hospitality industry. But related to that, what kind of challenges, what kind of problems, what kind of risk, what kind of issues people are facing,
Yes.
if you can sense the problems which large majority of the people are facing, I think there lies an opportunity. I think Zomato and Swiggy, they have done the fantastic thing. When Zomato and Swiggy came, there was no COVID, right? But they already adopted a innovative, creative business model. So
Yeah.
this is the time we have to sense the challenges faced by a very large segment across various geographic and demographic segments,
Yeah.
and at the same time how you can creatively come up with an idea to cater to their needs. So wherever you see a challenge, the challenges of a very large segment is an opportunity for hospitality professionals, according to me.
Exactly. So in Atulji, in these times, usually the mindset and the psychology of general public, for example, students who are just passing out may get nervous. The people who are working in hospitality may also get nervous by the job cutting fears. We are talking about salary cuts. We are talking about manpower cut. So how they can maintain their positive psychology? What kind of psychology they should keep in mind while going through this crisis, so that at the end of the tunnel, whenever we are open or whenever the tourism is back, they are coming out stronger than ever. What would you advise to them as a trader? You have been training to a lot of peoples.
Right. Okay. So first of all, we need to understand the quality of life depends on three things. Anybody, any professional or any person, any entrepreneur or an employee, your quality of life is going to depend on three things. First, where you focus on. Second, what you interpret from it. And third, what you do about it. Okay. So whatever is happening right now, the biggest challenge for all of us as human beings is how to manage our focus, how to manage our attention. The challenge is everywhere, on the social media, on the news channel, on the various communication platforms. What we are seeing and what we are listening is not at all positive things. People are talking about, people are dying and jobs are being lost.
Yes.
We don't know when things are going to get back, and automatically, unknowingly, the focus goes to the negative things. And boom, when your focus is going to go to the negative things, automatically what you are going to interpret from it is, now my life is finished, my entire study, my qualification, my experience, my expertise is of no use now, and whatever I had earned so far, the respect or the position, now everything has gone for a toss. And what you will do about it, that is the third thing, that you will sit idle, you will do nothing, and maybe you go into the deep negative state of mind, and eventually depression. So three things: one is where you focus on, second what you interpret from it, and third is what you do about it. So what I would suggest all the students or aspiring professionals or entrepreneurs or all the people who are watching this webinar right now, it's very important that how you manage your focus, what kind of information, what kind of knowledge you are providing to your senses, what you are seeing, what you are watching, what you are reading, what you are hearing. And I think I must congratulate all the 23 participants who are being part of this webinar. They are giving good kind of insights and information to their mind right now, and this is going to make their thought process going to much more productive aspects. So first is, it's very important from the morning till night how you manage your focus. So I would suggest everybody that you get engaged into the activities which will give you a lot of good I mean, after the lockdown, I am one of the busiest person. Almost every single day I'm conducting various webinars. Tomorrow I'll be conducting a webinar on blue ocean strategy. This is the time many of the entrepreneurs have to shift their business models and search for the blue ocean for them. And I am really excited. Earlier I used to programs live programs where 500 and 1,000 people used to come, and I used to enjoy standing on the stage and delivering my speech. But suddenly for me, my entire life has taken a turn now. But I am taking it very positively. I am now able to address the people whom I had never met. I am addressing banks today. So two days back I was speaking to 200 plus employees of bank, and which is not located here in Mumbai. They were somewhere in another part of Maharashtra. And that is making me, my attention, it is helping me for being more productive and more positive, and ultimately entire day I am also being very much positive, energized, and it is helping me. So I would suggest all the people who are watching, manage your focus, manage your attention. That I would suggest.
So we should bring more focus towards the positive energy instead of focusing on the negative things. What are the impacts? We should see what are the opportunities for us here, not about the problems, but about how we can come out. Focus on probably get a good sleep, get good food, get exercise. I mean, those are the normal things probably.
see, Paul, according to me, I always say one thing, Now, positivity cannot be a strategy. Positive thinking cannot be a strategy. If I stay positive throughout the day and I start walking towards east and I want to see a sun rising, I will never be able to see, though I am, very much positive person. So, psychology plays 80% of the role, and 20% strategy is also very important. If you look back the last 100 years, this kind of pandemics, this kind of global recessions, and a world war like situation we are facing right now. So we have already experienced 2 world wars during last 100 years. And if you observe and study various industries, how they evolved after the pandemics or the world war or the global recession, you will get a lot of clues. So not only being focused to positive things, but also reading and being exposed to some kind of insightful knowledge, I would say. So knowledge plus positivity, that is a very good combination. Yeah.
So we have been talking about a lot of knowledge and skills. So can you help with audience a bit of more where they can learn these things, how they can learn these things apart from webinars and without attending the physical space, because physical trainings probably would be not so good at this point of time. They would have to learn probably online by themselves or reading the book. So what are the few things that you would suggest to them?
I think Google Baba ki jai, whatever today, the question the most important thing is asking empowering questions to yourself.
Yes.
The talk which happens in our mind, during such kind of challenging things is not empowering, why this is happening right now. I was about to, venture out my restaurant now. I was just, my goals were really bombastic this year. 2020 was the year which I was supposed to arrive. And abhi ye hona chahiye tha, aisa kyun hua, mere sath hi aise kyun hota hai? This kind of negative talks don't help us. So I think if you ask empowering questions to yourself and just ask those questions to Google, and today you will get so many different avenues, starting from YouTube and Udemy, and so many e-learning platforms are also emerging now. So I think people are smart enough. The problem is not the what platform you use. The problem is what questions you ask yourself. If you ask right questions, I think right platform will automatically come in front of you. Like these 23 people who are attending this webinar right now, I think they must be exploring. I think they must be searching for the answers, and they are here attending this talk. Nobody had to tell them ki, jao ye jaake attend karo.
Yeah, Bengal, that's a very good thing. So you should ask right questions to yourself instead of finding the answers on outside. So now, Shweta ji, you have been an entrepreneur running your businesses. We know that a lot of businesses, even during the good times, a lot of businesses fail, and only a few of them get see the daylight and get successful. So what are the things that you think the qualities that differentiate from a successful business from an unsuccessful, so that our listeners can understand what are the qualities they should inculcate in their behavior and where they can acquire these things? You said you will share some resources, so maybe you can shed some light on it.
Yes. So very good question. Thank you, Manish ji. I've been an entrepreneur. I've traveled that path. So I can tell you that entrepreneurs are people who can hear the knock on the door very, very loud. And every challenge has a certain knock hidden somewhere. So it's an opportunity which is hidden somewhere. If an entrepreneur gives up at this point of time, he is not suitable for being an entrepreneur. So this is the time where the actual test of a person stands up and stands apart. And that is the reason why one of the most important things that needs to be done at this point of time is to look for opportunities. So first and foremost, to answer your question, I think I will give 5 important tips for entrepreneurs to be entrepreneurs. And one of the first important thing is every entrepreneur, every business should make money. So if it is, we are not doing charity, it is not an NGO, it is not for profit. So if you're running a for-profit organization, it should earn money. So that is the first point. Second point, there are absolutely no free lunches in life, and definitely not in business. So there is no substitute to hard work. You have to work hard, and especially in times like this, you have to work double hard, because this is the time where if you see the opportunity, you should just go for it, believe in the opportunity and make money. Third, believe in your idea, because until you believe in yourself, until you believe in your idea, no one else will. So if you feel that it is going to work, you need to ensure that you are so passionate about it that you will put the first two qualities into it.
Yeah, yeah.
Last but not the least, fourth is, please understand that while you are thinking of an idea, there are 500 more people across the globe who are thinking of the same idea. So the key to success of an entrepreneur is in implementation. And last but not the least is, you need to develop a core competency. You need to believe in that core competency. And the key to success is consistency. You have to be consistently on the idea. Until you are consistent, there is nothing that proves that you are passionate, that you believe in yourself, that you are empowered, nothing at all. And hence, these 5 things are very critical for any business to do well. Now, I also want to tell you here that as an entrepreneur, and I'm extremely passionate about being an entrepreneur. So for even a sector like hospitality right now, I see so many opportunities. If you've seen on a lot of grounds and in a lot of places, hotels have been utilized for by the governments for keeping the corona fighters, warriors.
Yes.
They have housed doctors. Now, this is the way where the hotels have been hired by the government to ensure that they come into use during this time.
Yeah.
A lot of them have been converted into quarantine places, quarantine centers. Now you need to look at alternate usage of your real estate in case you have a real estate.
Yes.
Second, if you're a chef, if you cook very well, there are going to be umpteen opportunities as far as nutrition is concerned. There are going to be umpteen opportunities as far as delivery at home is going to be concerned.
Yes.
Now, these are the opportunities based on which you need to think on businesses. Corporates are now going to be looking at nutritious food. Corporates have canteens. You people, new students who are going to be venturing out, or young people who are going to lose their jobs if they are getting pink slips, will perhaps go into a corporate. So that is the reason why we need to look at opportunity in every challenge. Every corporate is going to look for some or the other housekeeping staff and a supervisor who can take care of hygiene facilities, who can look at social distancing. And in a similar manner, nutrition and chefs can probably look at healthcare, medical tourism. Medical tourism is going to be extremely big. India is a young country, but all the population across Asia and Europe, G20, entire G20 countries are aging populations, and they don't have space. So tomorrow, if we are, I think, old age homes in India where we can provide housekeeping staff and they can transport their old aged people to India to be taken care of nutritionally to increase their health, is going to be really in. Hospice is going to be very, very in. Now, these are the opportunities, simple things. For example, there are certain tribal areas in across our country which offer nutritious greens which no other part of India can give. Now, these tribal areas and these greens are typically used for certain kind of recipe, extremely rich in certain nutrition. Now, there are specialized chefs which are doing this. And these chefs, I know, for example, Sanjeev Kapoor ji has come out with a specific guide on nutritious food, especially in greens, for the tribal areas. Especially, for example, I don't know how many people here have heard of moha ke phool. Now, Moha is at one point of time was used only for extracting alcohol out of it, but it is so high in protein that Moha ke laddu is extremely popular across the globe. Now, these are things where chefs and specialists from the hospitality industry are going to now discover and should discover. And I feel these are the opportunities which are going to mint money. Only implementation is the key. So somebody has to understand that there is a huge opportunity hidden in this challenge of COVID, and utilize this to create parallel entrepreneurial ventures for themselves. And I can assure you, there's not only hope, but there is huge amount of profit.
Well, thank you very much for highlighting a lot of opportunities. It gives definitely a lot of hope for the aspiring birder. Especially, I like when you said it's not only the idea, it's also the implementation and a consistent one. And then also, as you said, there are a lot of opportunities, probably like in Ayurveda, medical, herbs, which are not at the moment explored very well or commercialized in a sense. Maybe they are explored but not commercialized as large scale. And as we know, the Indian tourism participation in the global world is not that very huge. We still are very far behind compared to our neighboring countries like Thailand or Malaysia, Singapore. Even though we have the opportunities, we have the resources to do that. So continuing on that, I would like to ask, let's say if we decide we want to go on to a certain entrepreneurship journey or want to start a business, I would like to ask Mr. Girish, you have been consulting a lot of businesses. What are the different steps that you think the businesses should take to take an idea and implement it? Like maybe if you can give like step by step some kind of advice to the peoples.
Yeah, the most important thing, like we've discussed a lot of ideas here. Every idea seems possible and seems very lucrative at the beginning, right? So every individual, every entrepreneur has a specific skill set with him. But as a business, collectively, you need to look at majority of the angles, including the HR, the finance, the operations, the licensing, all these things, they come into picture. So you need to have a business plan in place. One, two, you need your financial planning. The capex, the opex, the pre-opening expenses, the post-opening. So you are not, like short of funds, as Shalini very rightly said. It's not a charity. Ultimately, it's money. You're doing it for money. But unless and until you don't forecast, you don't, know yourself, what are the, monetary involvements for your business, you won't be able to, give justice to it. So these aspects have to be considered. So business plan, project report, feasibility, and also create a USP, as she again mentioned. What is the USP? And is it really workable? So that has to be considered in your feasibility. It's not because someone is doing it, I can do it. My mother makes good laddu, so I will go and sell it. So you have to do a SWOT analysis, do a comparative analysis, and then get into it, looking at all these factors. Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. I think when we are talking about the skills, the ideas, just not only having the idea is going to work. You have the business people have to do a bit of market study to see what is the scalable, is it scalable, profitable, need to have a budget, some kind of business plan that you would like to keep. I can Atulji shed some light, because you are a business strategy consultant. What are the things that a good business plan need to keep in mind when these people are going to make or convert their ideas into a business? What are the things in a business plan that need to have, and how they can get the figures?
Fantastic. This is my really favorite topic, and I come across many aspiring entrepreneurs. And first of all, whenever the business plan comes second, according to me, the first and the most important thing is why you want to come into the business. What is something you really are aspired to achieve? Are you really looking for, something which is big, and you are really looking forward to create your own empire? Many of the people who come into the business, they are their reasons to come into the business are very superficial. What their reasons are like. I am just fed up of my boss and I want to start something on my own. Sometimes the very superficial reasons are like, me and my friend, we have a great tuning, we have a great frequency, we share, good rapport. So why not, start a restaurant? Why not, do something on our own? Or some people are like, I have got a great idea, and I think this idea will really work. Let's start our own business. I think these are very small, and these are very superficial reasons, and this will not make you sustain in the business, because business is all about ups and downs. Business is all about, having commitment and overcoming obstacles, especially during the initial stage. So first thing which I would suggest to all the professionals who are really looking forward to start their own business is to be very sure about why you want to come into the business. Number one. And the second part is the business plan. So for business plan, I can talk about the entire day, but let me be very crisp about it, and let me be very point to point about it. Number one thing, the first and the most important tool which you should work on, that is SWOT analysis. I think Mr. Girish also shared about it during what he was talking about. You have to do a SWOT analysis, and SWOT analysis gives you a logical perspective towards looking at your business idea. Many a times we give very specialized advice to other people, but when we talk about our own business venture, we become emotional. So SWOT analysis gives a very logical perspective towards looking at your own business idea. So it's a very, very powerful brainstorming tool, according to me, number one. Number two, again, is USP. Again, Mr. Girish also shared about it. But I would say USP, many people talk about USP, but nobody, or very few people have the framework to actually come up with the USP. Now, I would really like to talk about USP maybe in next webinar or so. But the best example about USP, if you ask me, two pizza companies came at the same time in our country, and one focused on delivery time and one focused on the experience. I'm talking about Domino's Pizza and Pizza Hut. And when you talk about Domino's Pizza, you are very sure 30 minutes nahi to free, or you will get express delivery, the hot pizza delivered to you when you are hungry. But when you talk about Pizza Hut, it's all about experience creation. When you are happy at Pizza Hut, and while you are leaving the Pizza Hut, you ring the bell. So वो लोग बोलते हैं कि आप घंटा बजाओ, लेकिन डोमिनो पिज्जा बोलते हैं हमको वो घंटे में इंटरेस्ट नहीं, हमको आधे घंटे में इंटरेस्ट है. So USP is a very important thing according to me. Yes. And once you know what is your USP, there is a segment which actually wants that USP to be delivered. So you need to search, you need to identify, you need to be very clear about which segment you are going to cater to. Are you going to be into the B2B business? Are you going to cater to a HNI people? Are you going to focus on the masses? Who is the segment you are going to cater to? So that will be the third point according to me. And these three things, SWOT analysis, USP, and then segmentation. After doing these three, I would say, framework of brainstorming, you come across, after that you come with your strategic plan. And the strategic plan is nothing but focusing on 5 key elements related to your sales and marketing, related to your operations, related to your finances, related to your HR, and you related to your admin and support stuff. And you have to be very, very clear about these aspects in your plan. So I'm being, again, very short about this, but again, in summary, SWOT, USP, segmentation, and after that, a very strong strategy and putting it on the paper. That would be my suggestion while doing the business plan.
Great. That's a very good thing. Now we have got the idea, we have got the passion, now we have got the business plan from Atulji. Also, now we need money. So I would like to ask Shweta ji, not being as a politician or a BJP spokesperson for sure, but I would like to ask you, what are the things that where the people can find money, or is there anything that is being run by NGOs or government to help these kind of budding entrepreneurs or peoples who may need some sort of assistance?
Okay, so one of the most important thing and the bottom line in all of this, which I want to categorically say is, see, the best venture capitalist for your own business is your own customer. If there is one customer who believes in your idea and can buy you out, I think that's about it. This is where you look at building up your business. In hospitality industries, today's time, a lot of captive entrepreneur are going to come by. So which means that I'm going to start a small venture for, say, a large company, and they will sponsor me. This is one of the best ways to look at things, because almost everyone is struggling.
Yeah.
Third, I think this is a very, very good time. I've been talking to a lot of people. I've been giving a lot of webinars, and I've been saying this, that this is the best time for joint ventures and mergers. So because people will be struggling, a lot of people will be looking at collab ventures, which means collaborations. So I will probably at cost to cost, or say no profit, no loss, I will come together as a collaboration to offer multiple services to the same customers so that we can share customers. Last but not the least, I think hospitality, as you've been rightly saying, I think Girish ji said something very, very interesting. The tier 2, tier 3 cities, the tribal areas, the small ventures, the SMEs, and one-man shows, like for example, I know a lot of people who do rock climbing as a tourism practice, and they earn good money, and I don't think that that business is going to be affected, because people will still want to be fit, and people would want to travel, and they would not want to travel in such places, so they would definitely want to climb forts and would want to do mountain climbing or go trekking. So these are things which will definitely happen. Agri-tourism, another very interesting space which is definitely going to bloom. So if we are going to be looking at stuff like this, there are going to be huge areas, especially in the tier 2, tier 3 cities, where there are going to be huge opportunities, where international VCs are also looking at funding, because primarily India is the only country which will offer the scale of business. Business growth is definitely going to be zero everywhere else. Europe is going to see bad days. EU is shattering. Brexit has happened. England, there is nothing. US it is going to take a lot of time to cover. I guarantee everyone here that India and probably a lot of countries in Asia, because we did containment strategies earlier on, and because we have gone on complete lockdown and we have tried to flatten the curve, yes, we will see a V-dip curve, so which means that we will see extremely bad months, complete zero or complete losses for a couple of quarters. But the last quarter of 2020, we will see a lot of ray of hope. In fact, I personally feel that Asia and India, the first quarter of 2021, people will come back to new normal. So coming back to your question, I think for SMEs, the government is going to come out with a lot of packages, but they are established SMEs. So if you are a small player who want to expand to a tier 2, tier 3 city, if you run agri businesses or different kind of businesses but are SMEs, government will certainly come out with packages to save you and to ensure that you get tax holidays, you get bonuses, you get help with your paying up your working capital losses, etc., etc. If you are coming up with a brilliant idea in this space, backed with technology, there are a lot of VCs who are looking at funding you. And last but not the least, I feel that a lot of large companies, people like Hilton, are today looking at tier 1 cities of India, but will start looking at smaller fragments, smaller hotels in tier 2, tier 3 cities. And that is going to be a huge opportunity, because places like Banaras, Ayodhya, these are going to flourish and become the new tier 1. And
Yeah.
smaller spaces are going to be very, very in, because people would like to live with less number of people, more sanitized environment. Experiences are going to count, and hence experiences in tier 2 city, which is going to be packed with natural living environment, nutritious food, and a complete differentiation of offering is what is going to be henceforth the new normal. So so I think, summing up, there is no dearth of money. Money is available, but for the right business.
Yeah.
It cannot be the same business which is happening right now. We need to start thinking of the new normal, and the new normal is not yet here. It is somewhere in your mind, in your idea. You need to ensure that you get it into the implementation mode. That's about it.
Thank you very much, Shalini ji. I think I know you have to attend another event, so I
Yes,
would like to
please.
thank you in advance before you leave.
Thank you, Manish ji. I'm here till 4, by the way,
Okay.
and I have
Great.
loved the platform. I love the subject also. And I want to thank Girish ji. Girish ji, I think it is short what you say, but I think it's exactly to the point. And Atul ji, I've heard you earlier on. So yes, thank you so much. It was very, very enlightening.
Thank you very much. So as we have seen from Shalini ji, from Atul, from Girish ji, that there are opportunities. The employees need to introspect themselves to come out of new skills, to see what are the new skills, what are the existing skills, how they can use them to create a new business opportunities, especially in tier 2, tier 3. Maybe look for captive capitalism, because the companies may sponsor their like, for example, it's very possible that big companies may sponsor the smaller suppliers to bring sustainable products, agriculture products, herbal, natural things. So those are the opportunities, and definitely the government is there. Are there the banks probably also maybe coming up with soft loans to boost the liquidity in the market? The central bank is doing their thing to reduce the rate of interest. That will definitely make a lot of businesses financially viable, and the ideas become viable because of the lower interest rate. I think that would be a very good thing. So let me take a couple of questions from the audiences to see. Okay, yeah, central kitchens. We are talking about delivery businesses. So somebody is asking, what are the central kitchens opportunities? Because we are hearing delivery boys also getting impacted here, there, you know. So the delivery business at one point of time is going to be new norm, but is also pretty risky to spread the risk. What are your take on it, Giriji?
Yeah, central kitchens as of now, like we just discussed about it, there are lots of requirements coming in from the government departments. So you can definitely look at those kind of things. Even the railways, they are looking at, like having this central kitchens, supplying them for their quarantine wagons that they have done. So those businesses definitely will work, but with the new norms, of social distancing, hygiene factors, like the contactless operations is what is important.
Okay, so there is a question on migratory labors, because we are seeing a lot of migration is happening from one city to another city. What are the strategies to? I mean, we are not thinking to stop it, of course, definitely, but how the businesses can survive with these migration of labor, especially the construction projects, we're gonna stop. A lot of hospitality staff are also probably be doing the migration from F&B, from kitchens. Shalini ji, can I ask you first about this, because I know you'll be going in very soon, and then
Yes.
we can come to the other panelists.
Yes. One of the first things that I want to say is I've been reading these questions, and some of the participants have asked very, very interesting questions. So one of the first things that I will also want to answer is about central kitchens. See, central kitchen is a very, very interesting thing. You need to understand that right now the COVID effects are primarily adults. We have not gone to the children, and severely malnutritioned cases of children, or moderately malnutritioned cases of children are there in the country. be it poor, urban slums or aspirational districts. Both of them have these kind of children. ICDS scheme is a big scheme of the government where centralized kitchen is very, very critical. So if you actually look at Annapurna Yojana or any of these yojanas, parallel kitchens are definitely going to flourish. The only thing, as Girishji rightly said, is the new norms which needs to exist in them. And yes, as far as migration is concerned, I need to tell everyone here on the panel, please be rest assured, migratory laborers will definitely come back. Please look back a couple of years of Bangalore. If you remember, there was a huge outgo of almost everybody from the northeastern states because they got very scared because certain violences happened. But and almost everyone traveled out of Bangalore, went back to northeast. But today, 3 years from that incident, everyone's back into hotels, into bars, doing their normal jobs. These laborers are definitely going to return. The fact is, how do you sustain till the time they come back? So the fact is, till that time, thankfully, this sector is not going to see light. So they are definitely going to be back by the last quarter of this year. And that is the time when you will need them also. So I think there is a lot of hope. And one of the biggest hope is humans are human. They are all social animals. They need to travel. They need to meet people. They will need to see new experiences. So just let's believe in each other and have a lot of hope and just pray that this time should soon get over and we should survive. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Shalini.
Thank you, Manishji.
Thank you.
And I'll take leave.
Yes.
Thank you.
Very much.
Thank you.
So, Girishji, you wanted to say something?
These are the points, like which we have been covering for the whole session, as I have understood now. It's the critical part is only for the next 4 months. I would say to 6 months. By the time everything comes back to normal, and as we are social animals and all these kind of requirements are there. So we definitely are going to bounce back, and we also have like a tendency ki chalta hai kind of a thing.
Yeah. That's
so
right.
we are not going to be that serious. Is my personal opinion. We are not going to be that serious as of now. See, even as of now, on a personal thing, we have a discussion ki kahan hai, kisko ho raha hai. That, those kind of questions are there. So people are wanting to bounce back, but because of the restrictions and the fear factor, of the police or the 144 and whatever all these things are. But majority of the people are ready to come back to normal life.
Yeah, I think
again, the necessity and the requirement, of the people, the migratory workers who are working, so opportunities are not going to reach to them immediately within 6 months.
Yes.
So they will have to come back.
Yes, exactly.
So it's only the sustenance for the next 4 to 6 months, I suppose.
So yeah, I think you have said it very rightly, and all the panelists are telling the things in a very positive manner. There is definitely a hope. The time, actually, I would say it's the silver lining of this time is it is giving us a time to introspect ourselves, our skills, our entrepreneurship dreams or journeys, as I would say. But don't take rash decisions. Say, okay, if I am a chef, I just want to cook by myself. I want to open my own restaurant, or I know this better, so I can go and start the business. As Atulji said, you need to find your USP. You need to find your target customer and see if the business can stay for a longer period of time. As Shalini said, you need to say that, okay, if your customer is going to buy out your business, that means it's 100% validation of your idea, that your idea is gonna work. So I would like to thank all the panelists, Shalini ji, Girish ji, Atul ji, for your valuable insights. Thanks SCS for hosting this event, and our media partners, Skadoosh and Koala Hospitality and Hotel Management School, which I am the founder of this school. We are providing hotel management training courses, short ones. So thank you very much, all of you, for being a part of the event today. If any participant has any other questions, you can post here in the chat, or you can post in our Facebook Live, where we are streaming it live, and we will be coming back with the answers. Adulji, I would like to request you one thing. If you can give out your some kind of a checklist or a step-by-step guideline on making business plans. I think that would be great. We can share with the peoples. And Giriji, if you can also give us some kind of like DIY things which will help the students and the entrepreneurs in coming up a consultant, helping the peoples. Just a short one, probably, that would be great.
Yeah, I would just like to conclude with one small, advice for all of
Yes,
us,
sure.
as Atulji said, like the focus part, you have to be focused on it and taking in
Yes,
the right kind of information. Because,
yes.
like the kind of information that goes in, mind becomes that way. So as of now, like if we focus on our health, the mental health, the physical health and the emotional health. So
Yes.
that is the key, like, a little bit of meditation, maybe a little bit of spiritual practice, a little bit
Yeah,
of yogic
yeah,
asanas, or
yeah,
maybe a
yeah.
little simple kind of, like the PE exercises, what we used to do in the school.
Hmm,
So
hmm,
some
hmm.
kind of, this kind of activation to your blood flow, to your nervous system,
Yeah,
keeps you in
yeah.
that positive. Otherwise, you sit down, so it goes into lethargy, and then all kinds of negative,
Same.
aspects that start coming up.
Yes, yes, yes.
Right. So this kind of, pranayam, some kind of pranayam also definitely
Medical health
helps.
for your brain, for your health, for your physical health, and for your mental health.
Most important is the mental health.
Mental health, yes. Adulji, any last comments for you from you?
Yeah, I think I must appreciate Girish sir being a hospitality consultant. You are giving spiritual tips also, and I think it really is very important during these days. And
Yeah.
of course, I would also like to comment and conclude my advice to all the people who are attending right now. One quote I would like to quote here, Mr. Jeff Bezos. He says that an entrepreneur must be stubborn and flexible both. It's a contradictory statement. He says that an
Hmm.
entrepreneur must be stubborn and flexible both, but he needs to be clear about where he should be stubborn and where he should be flexible.
Yes,
And
exactly.
when the things around us are changing, this quote makes a lot of sense. Now
Yeah.
where you have to be stubborn, or where you need to have your focus on, when the things around you are changing so dramatically in this
Hmm.
turbulent era,
Hmm.
when the things are changing, you have to focus on certain things which will never change.
Yes.
What will never change in this world? We are going to have food no matter what, corona or any other virus will come. This is not going to stop. And
Hmm.
as Shalini ma'am also said, that we are social animals, we are human
Yeah.
beings, we would really like to be with people, we would like to meet with people. So these basic things will never stop. And if you keep your focus on these basic things, which will never change, I think you will not get distracted, number one. And then where you will have to be flexible. Now, two tips here I would like to give to all the participants who are attending. Number one thing is, you have to be closely observing the consumer behavior, how the consumers are behaving, how their priorities are changing, how their needs are changing, how their way of life, their lifestyles,
Yeah.
their food habits or their living habits are changing. If you continuously keep track of the consumer behavior,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think it will give you great insights to come up with new ideas, number one. And number two, where you have to be flexible is, you have to be consistently keeping the check what is happening in the
Hmm.
industry at the global level. So in Italy or in UK or in America, already things have gone worse,
Hmm.
and they are already ahead of us,
Hmm.
even China also. So if you keep track on the things of your industry, how the industry trends are shifting in their region, in their geographic region, I think you will get a lot of clues from there, because they
Yeah.
are already ahead of us in terms of technology and in terms of economy, and in terms of this pandemic also, they have gone
Yeah. The timing.
forward than us. So we have to, if we keep the check of the industry trends, I think we'll get a lot of insights. So again, I would like to conclude with that quote: an entrepreneur has to be stubborn and flexible.